Hey everybody, it's Dominaria, and welcome back to another premiere draft of Dominaria. Before I get into the draft, I do need to mention that every video this week is sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, as well as this Friday's live stream of premiere drafts of Dominaria starting 5 p.m. on twitch.tv/Dominaria. So definitely go check that out if you're looking for more drafts of Dominaria. With that out of the way, let's hop into today's draft. So I've only drafted Dominaria once in the videos since its return, and that went alright. I went 3 and 3. I think the biggest problem with my deck was the lack of removal and interaction. I think I had a pretty solid base in terms of just my creatures and my synergy just in general. Just didn't have a lot to stop my opponent's game plan, and that's definitely important in this format. There's plenty of bomb-style creatures, and there's also plenty of common removal, so you definitely have to pick that up when you see it. And I definitely did not draft it as highly as I should have. So with that learning out of the way, hopefully we can draft something a little more consistent today and get at least 4 and 3. At 4 and 3 in these premiere drafts, you do get 1,400 gems and a few packs out of it, and it costs 1,500 gems to enter, so 4 wins or better is where you're really getting all your money's worth. So let's see what we've got in our opening pack here. We've got Thorn Elemental, which is a pretty good finisher. It's 7 mana for a 7/7 elemental, but as I've said before, this format is definitely slower than sets like Core Set 2021, so you can afford these cards, especially in green decks where you have decent ramp like Grow from the Ashes and Llanowar Elves at common. And this is a good finisher because it's a 7 mana 7/7, so without any abilities, it's already going to be able to be larger than pretty much any creature on the battlefield. And its ability is actually really good at closing the game out. If your opponent's at 7 or less life, they're just guaranteed to die when this attacks, because no matter how they block it, you could just choose to do 7 damage to their face. So it's just a really big amount of pressure, and it's a monocolored card rather than a multicolored card. So I think that would be a pretty good pick here. Grow from the Ashes wouldn't be bad as well. This is a format where splashing can be quite powerful because there's powerful splashable bombs and powerful splashable removal. So Grow from the Ashes is good to mention. Same with Skittering Surveyor, just for splashing things. And then Davenant Trapper and Deathbloom Thallid are the other good monocolored cards. Those are both pretty premier commons in white and black. I am going to start with the Thorn Elemental, though I do like just large green scary bombs. And we could take a Mending of Dominaria for the same reason. Now, this isn't so much a powerful game-ending bomb. This is more just a value rare. It's 5 mana, and then you mill 2 cards and return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. You do that twice, and then at the third part, you get to return all lands from your graveyard to the battlefield, then shuffle the rest of your graveyard back into your library. So this basically draws you 2 creature cards and puts a land or 2 into play over the course of a few turns, so it's just good value. It's not really anything that is going to destroy your opponent. It's not any big, splashy Thorn Elemental kind of effect, but I do just like the card advantage that this card can net you. And it sticks with green here, and there's nothing in the other colors that really pushes me out of green. There is a Saproling Migration that is probably on par with Mending of Dominaria. Maybe it would be even better because the Saproling decks can be quite powerful, but I'm going to go with Mending of Dominaria. It is a rare. It's something I get to play with less often in Limited for sure. Now we've got nothing really exciting in green at all. We have Gift of Growth is okay. That's 2 green for +2/+2 and untap a creature, or you can kick it for 4 mana to +4/+4 and untap a creature. Just a fine little combat trick, but usually you can get that pretty late. The best cards here I'd say are like Davenant Trapper. This is just really good in white decks. White decks tend to be quite aggressive. With enough historic spells, this can consistently be tapping down your opponent's creatures and making blocking very difficult for your opponent, to say the least. There's also Academy Drake. I like this a little better for the deck that I'm kind of going for. With Mending of Dominaria and Thorn Elemental, both of these cards lend themselves very well to kind of a ramp deck. Like, we definitely want Llanowar Elves and Grow from the Ashes in this deck, and kicker cards like Academy Drake that are great at 3 mana, and then also great to kick if you draw them later when you have more mana, are really nice. It's just good to have versatile cards like that. So I like the 3 mana 2/2 flyer, or 7 mana 4/4 flyer. Now there's a Fungal Infection in black. That card is quite nice. There's a Shivan Fire in red. That's probably a little better in terms of the removal that it grants you, and there's nothing else really going for me in any of the other colors. Definitely not a green card or blue card here that I'm very interested in, so I think I'll actually take Shivan Fire here. This is just one of the pretty powerful, pretty cheap, common removal spells that's easy to splash as well, because it only costs that 1 red mana, so I'm going to pick up the Shivan Fire out of this pack, not really taking it over much else except maybe a fungal infection. Alright, well, this will be a little interesting. This pack definitely makes me wish I had taken the fungal infection instead of the Shivan Fire, but I do think Shivan Fire is just a little better at face value. But if I had drafted fungal infection into Thallid Omnivore here, I'd be very happy. Thallid Omnivore is just one of the best black common creatures for sure. Very difficult to block. You can always sacrifice your weakest creature to trade up into better creatures if they block it. And this can just be a really massive threat by itself. I might want to even just take the Academy Journey Mage here, though, because it is a really powerful blue card. We do already have the Academy Drake. Academy plus Academy, that's like kind of a combo. Yeah, I'm already kind of looking at blue-green. I already have a good blue card here, so don't really want to move into like every color in this first pack here. Let's just stay open to like we could be blue, red, or green. Can take another Thorn Elemental or an Ancient Animus to stick in green, or I could take a Gitu Lava Runner and try to move into like blue-red wizards. Gitu Lava Runner, though, I feel like this one goes pretty late in the packs, and it's one of the later picks for your wizards decks, unless you're already, like, for sure being very aggressive. I think I'm actually just going to take an Ancient Animus here. It is a removal spell in green. Those are pretty hard to come by, and you definitely want to have removal spells and interaction for your opponent's plays. This pack is not really working out insanely well, because this pack is just pretty empty in general. There's nothing in here I'd be very excited to play in almost any deck. All of these are very filler, I think. I guess I'll take the Keldon Overseer. Arcane Flight could be good in blue-green, though. We can throw an Arcane Flight onto a large green creature, so I guess Arcane Flight would be the pick there. Now we have another Academy Journey Mage or a Memorial to Unity. I do like the lands with decent sacrifice effects, because it basically gives you another spell in your deck just off of your land, which is really nice. Helps a lot when you're flooded as well. But I do like Academy Journey Mage quite a bit, and the more that you have, the better, because then they can trigger off of each other, making them cheaper. I will take the Academy Journey Mage in that pack. Now I'll just take a Juggernaut. There's nothing else really in any of the other colors. I could take a Keldon Overseer to go with the Shivan Fire, but Juggernaut I can play in pretty much anything and not feel too unhappy with it. Definitely going to pick up this Deep Freeze here. Pretty decent removal spell, and we definitely want to pick those up and be able to actually stop our opponent's threats in this draft. Now I'll definitely take a Gift of Growth. Tolarian Scholar is sometimes worth it just because there are decks where you really just want a lot of wizards to make sure that your stuff like Academy Journey Mage is cheaper. But in blue-green, we're not going to be like a strictly wizards deck. We'd have to be blue-red for that. So we're just going to have like a wizards sub-theme here. So there are some pretty nice cards here, but I'm probably going to go with Baloth Gorger, stick with our blue-green roots. Tashar is pretty nice, 4 mana for a 2/2 flyer, and whenever you cast another historic spell, you can return a creature with current mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that's really nice in a white deck with a lot of like cheap creatures and like equipment, stuff like Juggernaut as well, triggers historic. So this card can actually be very powerful. Fire Fist Adept can be really powerful in a dedicated blue-red wizards deck. And then other than that, Eviscerate is just a really nice splashable removal. I think I am going to take the Baloth Gorger, though. We already have a Shivan Fire to splash if I'm going to be splashing for removal, and I would prefer to just get enough like Animuses and Shivan Fires and all that. We'll see how that works out. This could be a Yavimaya Sap Herd here. I don't like Sage of Latinam at all. I've been in artifact decks and just never wanted that card. I feel like there's probably one or two very specific decks that you could draft that would want this, but it's incredibly rare. Tetsuka Umezawa Fugitive. I guess it's a 2-mana 1/3 unblockable by itself. It makes all of your Saproling tokens unblockable, so that's a moderately okay combo, but I don't have any Saproling token production yet anyway, so I don't have anything to combo with it currently. And Yavimaya Sapphire is just always a good 3-drop. 3 mana for a 2/2 and a 1/1. Gives you a nice little chump blocker or sacrificial fodder or anything like that. Song of Freyalise is pretty nice as well with a bunch of Saproling tokens. You could make them all able to tap for a mana of any color, and then you can put a counter on all of them later in the game. Give them all vigilance. So Song of Freyalise is interesting for sure, but I think Yavimaya Sapphire is guaranteed going to be good. So I'm starting with that one. Now I'll take a Corrosive Ooze. That's pretty filler. I do like this a little better than Llanowar Scout. Llanowar Scout doesn't really help you unless your hand is super flooded anyway. So it can turn like a bad situation of you just having a million lands into, well, maybe I can cheat out a big creature and try to win that way, but I don't know. I feel like I've very rarely been happy with the Llanowar Scout. It's either a 2-mana 1/3 that doesn't do anything, or when it actually is plopping a bunch of lands onto the field, that just means that you've drawn way too many lands for that early in the game. Most of the time, in my opinion. Here I'll just take a Blink of an Eye. It's a very playable card. 2 mana to return something to its owner's hand, or 4 mana to return it and draw a card, which is really nice. There's also a Skittering Surveyor here. That could help me splash that Shivan Fire, though, so Surveyor's really nice, too. Check out my curve. I do quite like the Blink of an Eye, but I think I will go with the Surveyor. It'll help me splash the Shivan Fire, and if I end up seeing any, like, Eviscerates or anything, I can start splashing those as well. Time of Ice can really slow down your opponent's, just any of their aggressive plays and everything, just slow down their creatures and then bounce them all back to their hands, so that is a nice card. I might just pick a Grow from the Ashes here, though, because this will ramp me into my big stuff, like my Thorn Elemental, even just my 4 and 5 drops, it can ramp me into those, and it helps me splash things, so I do really want to be open to splashing cards like Eviscerate this time, because that was the biggest problem with my last deck. Now I will take a Deep Freeze as some removal. Probably not going to play this Syncopate, but I could throw it in here. I guess Blood Tallow Candle as well. That would be if I'm really hurting for removal, I could play a Syncopate or a Blood Tallow Candle. I'll pick up the Syncopate for now. I do like that Syncopate exiles things, so it can stop recursive threats like Multani, or an opponent that has soul salvages and stuff to return their creatures from their graveyard. So exiling is definitely relevant in this format. Ooh, this is going to be an easy Academy Drake, I think. I mean, maybe Divination? Academy Drake and Divination, I think, are the best picks here. I'm going to go with the Academy Drake, though. We are starting to pick up the ramp cards like Grow from the Ashes and Skittering Surveyor to make sure we have enough lands to kick our stuff in the late game for really large threats like Academy Drake and Baloth Gorger. As a 4/4 flyer and a 7/7 on the ground, seems pretty cool. I'm not going to play any of these cards. I'll just throw a Fire Fist Adept into the sideboard. Now we have Divination or Tetsuko Umezawa, and I'm pretty low on 2 drops. So I do want just like a random 2-mana 1/3 dork, and if I get a bunch of Saproling tokens, I can make them unblockable. Just a Gift of Growth there. Not going to play any of these, and probably not going to play anything for the rest of the picks out of this pack. I could play an Opt. That was surprising. Probably not going to do Befuddle, though. All right, final pack, and there's some payoff here. This is actually a kind of a difficult pick. Tachiyova can give you an impressive amount of value. It just draws you so many cards. Just every time you play a land, you draw a card. That's really nice. In Bolas's Clutches, though, can take anything from your opponent. They could play the biggest, scariest bomb rare ever, and you just steal it and gain control of it permanently. This is an incredibly tough choice because Tachiova and Inbolas's clutches are both super powerful, and there's no way one of these is going to wheel. So I only get to have one of these in my deck, which is very sad for me. Then there's also Cloud Reader Sphinx and Baloth Gorger. One of those might wheel. Those are both quite good. I'm going to roll with the Bolas's clutches because it's removal and a massive threat of my own, because it's just me taking their biggest threat. So yeah, I'll roll within Bolas's clutches for that reason, but it does feel really bad to pass the Tachiova. Alright, this pack is really paying off. These are some incredible packs. So we've got a Baloth Gorger or a Cloud Reader Sphinx here. Both of these are very good cards, exactly what I'm looking for. Grun's just like, okay. I think I prefer Baloth Gorger over Grun, because with Baloth Gorger I could just cast it for 4, and once you're like a 7/7 creature like Baloth Gorger would be while kicked, you're already like basically as big as anything's ever gonna need to be. I don't really need a 10/10 Grun, as cute as that would be. I think I'll roll with the Cloud Reader Sphinx out of this one. Get me some flyers. Oh my god, that's a late Tachiova. That feels incredible. I'm gonna scoop that right up, so at least I got a Tachiova. I could have had 2, though, which is insane. Wow, and now as a Heed, Djinn of the Lamp, this pack's insane. So this is a 6-mana 5/6 flyer at worst, and that's already great. And if I have like a Skittering Surveyor on the field, I can actually just spend 4 mana and tap the Skittering Surveyor to cast this as a 5/6 flyer for only 4. So this card's going to be absolutely fantastic. Really great to pick that up. This pack has gone beautifully, and now we just get to scoop up another Yavimaya Sap Herd. Coldwater Snapper's cool, but I am like getting pretty full up on my high mana cost cards now. And this might end up being a deck where I'm not even splashing. Like, I've picked up the Grow from the Ashes and the Skittering Surveyor and a Shivan Fire I could splash, but now I'm probably just going to go straight green-blue. I do have the 2 Deep Freeze and an Ancient Animus and an Inbolas's Clutches as removal. See what we get past here, because we've been getting past some goodies so far. Maybe we could get past that Tachiova that I passed, but probably not. I would assume that's not going to happen, but one can dream. Suppose I'll just take a Fiery Intervention here, because I'm not very interested in the rest of these. Urza's Tome might not be the worst thing ever. 2 mana and then 3 mana I can tap it to draw a card and discard a card, so I can just loot throughout the game. And I'm probably slightly more likely to play Urza's Tome, so we'll throw that in the side and see how we feel about that later. I think I'll actually take a Fiery Intervention here, because now I could splash for a Shivan Fire and Fiery Intervention. Maybe that would be worth the splash at that point. So here's pick 9. We did not wheel the Tachiova, which definitely makes sense. Tachiova is quite a good card. It would be insanely surprising to see it as 9th pick. Unfortunately, it looks like this is pretty much going to end the new additions to our deck. Nothing here is really playable. I mean, Davenant Trapper is certainly playable, but not in our deck. Yeah, that's going to do it for all the cards we're going to run in our deck. Don't even want a 3rd Gift of Growth. I don't know if I want these first 2. Okay, so I need to cut 3 cards out of this to run a 17 land, 23 non-land deck, which is the standard for limited. I'm definitely fine with that for this deck. It does have some large mana cost cards, which might be a reason to run like an 18th land, but I do have Grow from the Ashes and Skittering Surveyor, which both grab a land, so I think I'm fine with the traditional 17-lander. Alright. Maybe I want to actually just get rid of these Journey Mages, because it feels like I don't really need the tempo stuff anymore. Now I'm just trying to play a bigger thing than our opponents and just straight up shut off their plays rather than slow them down. Gift of Growth feels weird in this deck as well. We don't have very many early creatures. We don't have a lot of creatures till turn 3. And Gift of Growth is best when you're kind of aggressive, so that you're constantly attacking, and you can surprise them with a Gift of Growth out of nowhere, either on blocks, since it untaps a creature, or if they block your creature, you can surprise them that way as well. Either way, Gift of Growth really at its best when you're getting into early combat a lot, and this doesn't feel like the kind of deck that will be trying to get into combat in the early game. I'm sure it'll happen. Just not a lot. So one more cut. I suppose I could cut just like one of the Journey Mages. Could cut a Syncopate. I'm not wanting to save mana up very often. Yeah, Syncopate seems like a fine cut because I don't see a lot of situations where I'm holding any mana up, because even once I hit the late game where usually quicker decks would just like play a 4-drop and then they'd still have like 3 mana up or something, my deck would just be like, okay, well now I guess I'm kicking these cards or casting one of these big cards. I feel like I'll be tapped out the vast majority of the time, so it'll be kind of difficult to hold up a counter spell like Syncopate that wants you to hold up as much mana as possible to make sure that it can actually counter something in the late game. So we'll cut the Syncopate and roll with it like this. Looks like 9 forests and 8 islands is the suggestion. Slightly more forests than islands. We can check our stats here and see if that pans out. There's actually 2 more blue symbols than green symbols in our deck. But that's because of these late double blue costs, it looks like. Actually, I guess it's because like we've got so many 3-drops. Yeah, we don't really need blue mana until turn 3-ish. We've got 1 blue 2-drop, and then opt we can play kind of whenever. And our green does have a Grow from the Ashes that can grab an island. I think we're fine with the 9-8 split. And let's swap our sleeves, see if we have any Simic sleeves. I think the only one I have is Kiora, so Kiora it is. Let's get into the games and see how well this Simic Dominaria draft deck goes. Deck looks really nice to me. I really like these kicker cards alongside the value cards with like Cloud Reader, Sphinx to Scry, Techiovas to draw cards. And we have some removal in this deck, actually. We have in Bolas's Clutches, we have Deep Freezes, and an Animus, Ancient Animus, I believe. Hand is a little awkward. We definitely need to hit at least 1 land, but it's got a decent start if we do. Feels a bit risky. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this one. This hand's definitely worse, but with a Tachiova potentially in the wait, I am going to keep this rather than mulligan to 5 here. Actually, I think this hand is probably on par with the first hand, because while it's only got 1 color and the first hand had both, this hand does have a guaranteed, like Yavimaya Sapherd. Like, it has a play that I can do no matter what I draw. Do really need to hit an island, though. At least by turn 4. So our opponent kicks a Grow from the Ashes on turn 3 thanks to Elfheim Druid, so that's a pretty spicy curve from them. So they're just going to have 7 mana next turn if they play a basic, which is pretty brutal. Elfheim Druid into Grow from the Ashes is one heck of a drug. And they do have the Baloth Gorger. I do have the Bolas's Clutches for it, but I have not drawn a single land all game, so I'm unlikely to hit that. I actually don't have anything castable right now, so I have to just pass and chump block with this Sapperling. Looks like this first game might be just a free victory for our opponent, one of those unfortunate things that does happen in Magic. Did not have a good first or second hand after the mulligan. So the first hand, like, maybe the first hand was a little better, but if you think of it this way, had I not mulliganed, and I drew exactly the same cards that I drew this game, I would still be just as screwed. So, feels bad, but there's absolutely no way I can win now. Now they have a 7/7 and a Thorn Elemental, which is a 7/7 that can just choose to do 7 to me, even if I block it. So this game is over. It's like the heart of the cards was not with me on this one. Yep, there's the mana, but it is just too little too late. I'm taking 14 this turn unless I chump block with whatever I play. So I just play a Juggernaut, chump block that, take 7, go to low enough that I would have to, in Bolas's Clutches, their Thorn Elemental. I guess... Yeah. Excuse me. I guess I gotta play to my outs. They just have a Slime Foot as well. That's unfortunate. If they didn't have anything else, my out would be to block here, draw a basic land next turn, in Bolas's Clutches the Thorn Elemental, but even then, in Bolas's Clutches doesn't untap it, so I wouldn't even be able to block with it anyway, so... That was unfortunate. Just got dealt pretty bad hands with pretty bad draws. So let's move into the next game, see if we can actually cast some spells. At least on curve. I suppose we did cast quite a few spells that last game, but it was after our opponent already had a 7/7. We were just throwing them into chump block. Not a great start, but we can always come back from this. I only want 4 wins here. So I just gotta win like 2 games, and then I can lose 1 more, and then win the next 2 games. That is not an insurmountable task. Alright, here we are against Flying Cube. And this is definitely a hand I can keep. Because I actually have all 3 mana that I need for these 3 cards, and both of my colors in the hand, so it has both of the problems that I had with my first 2 hands in the last game solved. Opponent is on white-blue. We just start out with Tetsuko Umezawa. An opponent starts out with a Danitha Capuchin. Luckily for us, if they don't have an aura or an equipment, my 1/3 is big enough to block that without dying. We'll see what they have here, though. All their auras and equipments will cost 1 less. Alright, no attacks. Now I've got 4 mana, so I can drop down my 4/4, I suppose. Seems fine with me. Drop that down on curve. That'll make it really hard for them to attack in with Danitha if they don't have removal. They can give it flying with Pegasus Courser here, hit me for 3, so I will send in with my creatures that can break through. Thanks to unblockability. Definitely going to cast Cloud Reader Sphinx next turn. Alright, Academy Journey Mage is going to bounce my Baloth Gorger. We're taking 3 flying damage this turn, and they're gaining 2, back to 20. Ooh, Grow from the Ashes is not bad, but I do definitely want a flying blocker here to get them to stop attacking with Pegasus Courser. And if they stop attacking with Pegasus Courser, that'll mean that they'll have to stop attacking with Danitha as well. So I like both of these draws. I definitely like in Bolas's Clutches. I do need another island for it, but I have the Grow from the Ashes to grab that. I think I'll put in Bolas's Clutches on top, and then I'll probably Grow from the Ashes next turn, which will shuffle the Gorger back in. But I'll keep it on top just to have that option. If I end up just casting a Drake or something instead, I have the option of keeping Gorger on top if I want to. If I don't want to Grow from the Ashes. Here's 4 blue mana from our opponent, which means they're saving up something that costs white for sure. Blink of an eye to bounce the Cloud Reader Sphinx. Well, I guess we're recasting Cloud Reader Sphinx this turn then. So opponent is definitely slowing me down, but they don't have anywhere near a large enough clock to make that super pressuring. Dub does make it pretty pressuring. I think we're just going to Academy Journey Mage Pegasus Courser now. That'll kill their dub. Now we just get to trade Journey Mage for 1/1 actually. Or Tetsuko Umezawa. It's okay if they trade with Umezawa, because I'm not trying to really send in here. I think I'd rather trade with that than the 2/2. So we bounce Pegasus Courser, we've now destroyed their dub, and they'll have to recast it to give flying, which means if they attack with Danitha this turn, I get to block with Journey Mage and Sap Herd. They can only do 2 damage, so they get to kill one of my guys, and then the other one will kill Danitha. So Pegasus Courser is back, and 2 cards in hand, one of which is an Icy Manipulator. You hate to see it. Tap down one of my creatures each turn, which means they'll tap down my flyer every turn. Well, we'll play Cloud Raider Sphinx anyway. If they attack with both of those, then they won't have the... they won't have the blockers ready for the rest of my field. So if they want to keep getting in here, then... Well, I guess they will have Danitha. Danitha just never taps, because Vigilance. If they want to get in here, they have to Icy Manipulator during their turn. They have it in Bolas's Clutches of their own. Okay. Well, that is what we were going to cast this turn. I don't think I want to in Bolas's Clutches on the Icy Manipulator. I mean, like, maybe, but then I wouldn't have the mana to tap something immediately, and then I'd take 3, 4, 5, 6 flying damage, go to 3. That just feels like it's not going to work out for me. I really wanted to Bolas's Clutches Pegasus Courser, but the fact that they had a Bolas's Clutches of their own is just a really big problem. If I take back my Cloud Raider Sphinx, at least they're only hitting me for 3 a turn again. And then I can try to kick an Academy Drake in the future. I guess we're taking back my Cloud Raider Sphinx. We're definitely going to Icy Manipulator that. I'll take 3 flying. Oh, that feels so dumb. Double Bolas Clutches on the Sphinx. It's pretty funny. It's a pretty beautiful board state. This Cloud Raider Sphinx is really traitorous. Alright, down to 6. Don't like that. There's the Ancient Animus, though, so I can also just fight something right now. Fight the Courser right now. We'll see what they have in hand. They do have 1 card in hand. It's whatever they just drew, I believe. So I think... Alright, we get rid of the Pegasus Courser. That was the only really problem that we had. Go to combat. They tap down Cloud Raider Sphinx. I'm thinking about casting Baloth Gorger, but it might be better to just grow right now, because I have 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. At 7 mana, I kick Academy Drake, so if I grow from the Ashes, I kick an Academy Drake next turn. And then, if I draw 1 more land later on, I start kicking these Gorgers. So this sets up into a next turn Academy Drake very nicely. And then I have more flying defense. And I have a Deep Freeze at the ready. Very nice. Feeling quite safe now. Even with the Manipulator from our opponent, we just have a lot more cards than they do at this point. We'll have to see what kind of large threats their deck is capable of, though. They might have a Lyra or something that would turn things right back into a really pressuring position for me. Well, I guess Lyra I could just Deep Freeze, but yeah, Deep Freeze is looking really nice here, because I'm thinking of everything scary that could happen to me, and most of it can be Deep Freeze. Ooh, Thorn Elemental? Yeah. Don't mind if I do. If they have a flyer with flash, this will be not great, but I think I'm still going to go for it. So if they have a Wrath Capation, that's a white, a blue, and 2 for 3/3 flash flying. That would be bad for me. That would get 3 damage on me. Now I'm definitely just going to keep attacking with Thorn Elemental if they tap down the Cloud Raider Sphinx. Probably only attack with 1 of the flyers to stay safe from a play like a Wrath. Oh, well, now that I got Academy Drake, we'll just attack with anything that doesn't get tapped. So attack with both of those. Gideon's Reproach on Academy Drake. Fair enough. Thorn Elemental will definitely get in there, though. They're down to 15. Here's a kick to Academy Drake. 1 mana away from kicking my Baloth Gorgers. And they know it, too, because this is the one that they put in my hand a long time ago. So they know I have 1 Baloth Gorger that's just waiting for that next land. There's the land. Go to combat first. Tap down the Thorn Elemental. Send in with the flyers. Kick the Gorger. And I think we've got it on lock now. There's Tetsuko Umezawa. That makes Knight of Dominaria unblockable. Just very threatening. I'm dead in 2 turns, but I believe they're dead this turn. So I'm going to send in with everybody, and then I'll deep freeze Umezawa if that survives, just to make sure I don't die. Actually, they're tapped out, and they don't have any flying, so I just send in with the flyers here. I don't know why I was getting super aggressive. They've got no cards in hand there, so we know that just sending in the flyers is gonna clear that one. Alright. Well, it's pretty scary, but we've got our first win. 1 win and 1 loss. Off to a very average run. 50-50 thus far. See how we do in the remaining rounds. I'm going to keep this one and definitely hope I'm playing against a slower deck. Because this is a relatively slow hand. We're not going to do anything until turn 3. This hand does not work out against a very aggressive white deck, like the decks that could have the 2-1 Knight on turn 1 and then the 3-1 Knight on turn 2. I think I'm just guaranteed to lose a game like that. Opponent does start with a forest, but they forest into Llanowar Elves. So green is one of the slower colors, but when they start with Llanowar Elves, that's a real big problem, because that just speeds them up a turn. They're just going to be faster than us, most likely. I can deep freeze something, but I don't really want to. I can also just grow from the ashes. That'll make sure I can cast a Clouder Sphinx next turn. That would be pretty nice. I think I'll just grow here. Grab another forest. We'll have 2 blue and 3 green. Howling Golem's going to send in, which will get us to both draw a card. Llanowar Elf's coming in as well, meaning they don't really need the 4th mana. Probably just playing a 3-drop then. Ooh, or a Sparring Construct. A little 1 mana 1/1. Drop down our Cloud Reader Sphinx, scry a couple cards, see what we can draw into. Definitely going to throw some lands on the bottom if we have any. A land and a Juggernaut. Juggernaut doesn't really seem great in this position either. It's definitely better than a land, so I don't want to like scry it to the bottom and hit a land. But I have other stuff to cast in the meantime. Yeah, I'm going to throw it on bottom. There is an island from our opponent, so they're blue, black, and green. They could be splashing a Muldrotha or something. Should be scary. Let's see what kind of pump spell they have. I kind of like this Howling Golem letting me draw cards. Sure, they're drawing cards too, but I'll just block the Sparring Construct, let them put a counter on something. Just get that thing out of the way. They do make the Howling Golem a 3/4, so we can both keep drawing cards forever. I am down with that. There's a Mammoth Spider from our opponent. 3/5 reach. So I have enough mana to Yavimaya Sapherd and Academy Drake, or Sapherd and Deep Freeze, or Sapherd and Ancient Animus. Or I could just play Mending of Dominaria, but I don't have any creatures in grave right now, so that would just be losing on some value. Don't like that. I definitely love value. Alright, so I guess Cloud Ridge Sphinx is not attacking anymore. Probably wasn't going to attack anyway. I suppose I'm just passing. I am 1 mana away from kicking Academy Drake, and this way I can hold up Ancient Animus at instant speed. They're going into combat. Draw an Academy Journey Mage. Alright, let's trade with that Howling Golem now, I think. Actually, I could try to trade with the Mammoth Spider instead. It is really scary when we're both drawing a bunch of cards, but theoretically we'll just both have a tons of plays then, and it'll just be a fun game where we're both doing tons of stuff. Let's see what kind of random pump nonsense they may have. They didn't have anything last turn. At least they didn't have anything that would have been big enough to have their 1/1 beat my 3/4. So we'll see what they have now. Could be a Gift of Growth. Untap it, give it +2/+2. They're taking a while on the decision here. If they do something... Oh, they're going to Ancient Animus and have those fight. So if they have those fight, they can finish off my Cloud Reader Sphinx with the Mammoth Spider. So these will all kill each other. So I'll still kill the Mammoth Spider. If I fight with Ancient Animus on anything, then my Cloud Reader will die before Mammoth Spider does. So I'll just let that resolve, and we still get to kill Mammoth Spider, but we do lose the Cloud Reader Sphinx now. I could Ancient Animus Sap Herd into the Howling Golem now, though. Or actually, no, because then that would die, and then I wouldn't kill the spider. But I could fight the Llanowar Elves, and I kind of want to do that, because they seem a little stuck on mana. So let's go for that. Nice. So now they can only play a 3-mana card this turn. They haven't played a land yet, so they may play one post-combat. Ooh, no land. Alright, so now they're stuck on 4 mana still. Okay, I'm at 12 life. I can Academy Journey Mage the Howling Golem and save mana for an opt. Seems like the safest play here. Then they'll just recast that this turn. And since I actually have... Since I have enough mana and plenty of plays to do with it, I think I'm actually just trying to keep them off of attacking with Howling Golem from now on. Because I know that I have tons of stuff to do. Navigator's Compass from our opponent, so they might be like 4 colors. Because Navigator's Compass, really, if you just incredibly heavily need fixing. Ooh, Skittering Surveyor. So I can Mending of Dominaria and Skittering Surveyor this turn. Skittering Surveyor would bring back Cloud Reader Sphinx. Or Mending of Dominaria would bring back Cloud Reader Sphinx. Alright, I really like how my turns are setting up here. Just tons of value coming up. Don't know what's in their hand, but even if it is the Muldrotha, I've got the Deep Freeze ready now. I think Mending of Dominaria is just going to give me enough value to close out this game, hopefully. My opponent is technically in the life point lead right now, though. I am at 12 and they're at 23, but I feel like I've got the tools that I need to defeat them. And they do have Muldrotha, so that explains a lot. Muldrotha is just going to come out and do nothing, because I'm going to turn it into a 0/4 wall. That does not do anything. Just going to shut our opponent off completely. Ooh, Techiova. Don't mind if I do. Alright, and I'll still have 5 mana up after this, so I still get to cast the Cloud Reader Sphinx as well. Could play the Techiova, but I'm just going to play Cloud Reader first. Get aggressive with it. Scry 2. Another Deep Freeze. I would love to have that backup Deep Freeze if they do another large card from their hand. Maybe they have more than one bomb. Icy Manipulator. Not bad, but we saw from last game we can definitely, over the course of a long game, just outvalue them, get enough creatures on this board to fight through that. So that's definitely our game plan here. They have a deep freeze on our Cloud Reader Sphinx. Okay. Unfortunately, Academy Journey Mage will only bounce a creature our opponent controls. So we can't bounce our own Cloud Reader Sphinx to recast it, which is sad, because I would love to do that. Well, we'll get whatever lands we have in our grave. They're coming back to the field. I don't know how many. We'll see. Ooh, 2 of them. And then shuffle our whole grave back into our library to make sure we don't mill ourselves, which is nice. So I do have 4 mana after this. I could have drawn a card with Techiev if I did that instead, but I just want to get aggressive. Yeah, I probably should have Techiev it instead. Since I already played the land, though, we will roll with that. Now they'll start Ice Manipulating my Thorn Elemental every turn. I hope they play an Academy Journey Mage on my Thorn Elemental. That could actually be hilarious. Because then they could Journey Mage my creature, and then I could Journey Mage their creature, and then we could just keep bouncing Journey Mages on each other. That would be quite funny. Alright, well I don't have a land to play anyway, so I don't really need 2 Techiova right now. So we will kick an Academy Drake. Pick that little dragon. And drop a Yavimaya Sapherd. Just really spreading out the threats to fight through this Icy Manipulator. If I get an Inboss's Clutches, that could be pretty beautiful, because then I can take their Icy Manipulator, use it against them. That would be really powerful. Eviscerate on the Academy Drakes. They do have tons of removal in there, but Techiova should value us out here if we draw a land. Definitely making me feel really bad about not dropping that Techiova immediately. I don't actually want to play this for the cheaper cost. Oops, as I immediately tried to do that. There, I want to play the full cost because I'm probably going to attack with Skittering Surveyor this turn. Because I can attack with Skittering Surveyor and Yavimaya Sapherd into their 1/3 and get a little bit of damage in. Just 1, but 1 is better than 0. Get 1 point of damage in here. And now I'll drop Techiova. Main phase 2. Journey Mage at the ready if they play a big scary blocker that I don't want to deep freeze. Like a Mammoth Spider or something, that'd be something I wouldn't want to deep freeze, but I would want to stop from blocking for a turn. Yeah, I mean, looking at my field right now, I just can't believe how well the third pack worked out for us. That was absolutely fabulous. Zahid, Skittering Surveyor, and Techiova, I think all these were in the third pack. Maybe Skittering was the second, but these 2 were for sure. Let's go to combat. Tap the Thorn Elemental, send in everything except the 1/1s. Grow from the Ashes is going to draw us 2 more cards, so we need to make sure not to mill out at the very least. But we are hitting for 6 damage this turn. Maybe I don't even cast Grow from the Ashes. Those are cowards' words. Let's go for the value here. Grab 2 basics out of our deck and draw 2 cards. Yeah. Oh, and we got enough to kick. We actually have enough to kick Baloth Gorger as well. So we'll play the Baloth Gorger then. That'll be larger. See, that was worth it. We have 12 cards in the deck. We can definitely afford to do stuff like that right now. And there's the concession from our opponent, giving us our second win, 2 wins and 1 loss. As you can tell, just from this draft alone, this video alone, this format is definitely slower than Core Set and some recent formats, because we are 50 minutes in here. I don't remember how long the draft took, but only played 3 games so far, and we're at 50 minutes in the video. So 2 wins and 1 loss. I really want to hit 2 more wins. Other than that, we'll just see how well this deck can do. This hand's pretty awkward, but I am going to keep it. I have both of my colors. I have 3 mana already. If I can hit Techiova, that'll be great. And I do have a Deep Freeze to shut something off. If I have to blow that early, I can. Opponent has those beautiful unsanctioned full arts. Or actually, no, I'm using the unsanctioned full arts. These are the unstable full arts. No, unhinged, right? No, yeah, no, these are the unstable ones. I don't remember. All the full arts, they're all different unsets with whatever. Untamed Kavu coming out as a 2/2 Vigilance Trample. Just gonna come slap me around in the early game. I can Deep Freeze that to not take any more damage for a while. Yeah, I've got Ancient Animus and In Bolas's Clutches for later, so I will Deep Freeze that. Because I'm not going to be playing anything else till turn 5, so I really need to survive these early turns. And that feels bad that they're just immediately going to cast something that would have been better to Deep Freeze. But I am not omnipotent, I am not a fortune teller. That can happen. We're going to go to 12 now. Primordial Worm from our opponent. Don't have the mana to Bolas's Clutches that yet. I'm going to have to Journey Mage that, or else I'm just going to die. Like, if I play Techiova here, I take 10. I really can't afford to do that, or I'm chump blocking with Techiova, so I have to just Journey Mage, put that back in their hand. Next turn, Bolas's Clutches that, because they'll probably recast it. And then it'll be an untapped 7/6, and I can Bolas's Clutches to have my own 7/6 to block their Rada, which will be really nice. They'll probably have an Eviscerate or something, but that'll deal with their 7/6 either way. So hopefully they don't have removal. If they do have removal, it's not the worst in the world. Next turn I get to Techiova and then Ancient Animus Techiova to fight one of their creatures. I'll probably actually fight their flyer now that I have a 7/6 to block with. They've got the 1 mana up. They could have a Fungal Infection, so I do need to worry about that if I'm going to be casting Ancient Animus. Draw a card. So if they have Fungal Infection, the worst they can do is have Techiova trade with Windgrace Acolyte, which wouldn't be great, but I feel like the upside here is a lot better. I suppose, let's play it safe. If they have Fungal Infection, I don't want my Techiova to die, so we'll just fight with Primordial Worm instead. Now I could attack with the 8/4, and then I can double block Rada, but I don't want to lose Techiova, so I think I just sit here. Get value off her instead. There's a Thallid Soothsayer from our opponent that's really good in this position, because now they can sacrifice Untamed Kavu. Since it's already been shut off by Deep Freeze, they can sacrifice that to draw a card. And now if I Deep Freeze anything else, they can sacrifice that as well. But again, I'm unlikely to be Deep Freezing anything else, because none of these are big enough threats that I have to at this point. Can't drop a Juggernaut, that's pretty nice. A Juggernaut and a Skittering Surveyor. Do have enough mana to do all of that and opt, so I'll just opt first and see what we hit. Just a land, throw that on the bottom. Draw something else. Baloth Gorger. I do have enough mana to kick that next turn, don't have enough mana to kick it right now, so we'll just play our other cards. Juggernaut and Surveyor. And our field is definitely large enough now to send in with Primordial Worm. Our opponent's very likely to chump block with Untamed Kavu and then sacrifice it to Soothsayer here. But definitely still worth putting the pressure on, sending him with Primordial Worm and forcing them to lose a creature right now, to make it more likely that our Juggernaut and our other threats are able to get through later. They do draw into a Llanowar Elves, which is not great. That's probably also going to chump block and get sacrificed. unless they need 7 mana, they could have the 7 mana, 7/7 flying haste dragon. I believe it's Darigaz is its name. That'd be pretty bad for me, but I'll be able to deep freeze that after it sends in once. I guess the problem with that, though, is that's one that comes back after it dies, after a few turns. So even if I deep freeze it, they could sacrifice it to Thallid Soothsayer, so hopefully they don't have Darigaz. That would probably be the most dangerous card they could have that would mess with me the most. So I am choosing to play a flyer over the Baloth Gorger here, because that way I can get through any of their weird chump blocky shenanigans that they'll definitely be doing as this game progresses. Just get in for some guaranteed damage every turn, plus then I have a little bit of defense against something like Darigaz if that is the future plan, and I'm surprised by no blocks there. That means they definitely have a 7 mana card, which I absolutely despise, because that means it may really be Darigaz coming up. Okay, alright. That makes me feel way safer. I do lose Tachiova, which is not ideal, but they did get rid of the Lanarels. Okay, so they're going to have their lands just be indestructible attackers this turn. I don't think that's lethal. As long as it's not lethal, I'm fine. Because it's only for 1 turn. So we can block there, and then we can trade there. And then we're taking 6. So yeah, I think it's not lethal. I think I'm fine. They do have enough mana to sacrifice some of these lands to draw some cards. That's actually a really nice value combo, because Rada giving them a mana when everything attacks, and then Thallid Soothsayer being able to sacrifice them to draw cards. It's actually one of those weird combos that's going to come up so rarely, because it's a rare and an uncommon, and another rare, combining forces to let them just cycle these lands. So yeah, while we definitely survived the initial onslaught, the amount of value they got there was pretty impressive. Apparently they drew some garbage, though. Actually, what am I talking about? Never mind. Never mind, I had well over 10 power on board there, so they actually just, by tapping out their whole field to attack, they just did not have the defense they needed to survive the next turn. So I completely forgot about paying attention to that once they started drawing cards. I was like, oh, look at all this value. But opponent definitely realized the value did not matter if they were just going to die on my next attack. Alright, so that was a little bit of a weird ending to that game. I think we were definitely in the driver's seat for a while near the end of that game, but the Sylvan Awakening tack into immediate scoop was a bit weird. Maybe they just did not do the math right. They thought they could push through for lethal there. That, or it was just the last-ditch effort. Just might as well try this. Maybe they'll block incorrectly. If not, I'll just scoop. Who knows? Another risky hand here, kind of slow, but that's kind of just my deck in general. Not a whole lot going on in the early mana costs. I'm going to go ahead and keep this one, definitely hoping to play against another slower kind of deck. We are at 3 wins and 1 loss now, so I only need 1 more win to hit the 1,400 gems and I believe 3 packs prize, which would be absolutely beautiful. Be 100% in for that. Okay. I'm gonna keep this one. Again, I can very much lose against like an aggressive white deck, so if I don't see a plains or a mountain, I'll be happy. That is an island. If they play a mountain right after that, I'd be very concerned, because Blue-Red Wizards is capable of incredibly fast games with stuff like Adeliz, I believe. The a blue and a red wizard commander, basically. Looks like we're against another blue-red, or another blue-green deck. So probably another slower value engine kind of deck like ours. Blue-green-black could be another Muldrotha drafter. Or it just could be blue-green splashing Eviscerates. Krosan Druid will start the game from our opponent. I will just grow from the ashes right now. I've got tons of lands in hand, so I don't really need to kick this later. Just going to grow from the ashes right now so I can play a 5-drop next turn. Drop down an Academy Journey Mage and bounce whatever they play this turn. It is a Forebear's Blade. Alright, well, I'm going to bounce that Crozen Druid because that's a terrifying card. Equipped creature gets +3/+0, Vigilance, and Trample, and whenever equipped creature dies, they can move it onto something else. So I definitely want to not allow them to just equip that and send in this turn. I'll make them recast the Crozen Druid and then equip it. I can, in Bolas's Clutches, to gain control of the Forebear's Blade, which is pretty cool. I can also just gain control of the Icy Manipulator now. Either of those things is pretty cool. And if I wait to cast these cards, I can kicker them out as something much bigger. Well, let's go to combat. They probably tap down Journey Mage. They do. I don't know, it feels kind of risky to Bolas's Clutches Icy Manipulator, but if I Bolas's Clutches Icy Manipulator, I stop them from icing me, and I can still just use the Icy to stop whatever they're playing. Yeah, I'm just going to take the Icy Manipulator. Feels a bit weird, but I think that was my best play that turn. They do have the mana to play the Crozen Druid and equip it now. Then it would be a 5/3. They're just going to play a Grow from the Ashes, probably going to grab a couple lands and then cast the Crozen Druid unequipped. Only 2 cards in their hand now. I do have the mana to kick Academy Drake. If I do that, I'm not saving Icy Manipulator mana up. See, that would be a 5/3 Vigilance Trample. I'll just save the Academy Journey Mage to trade with that and drop down Academy Drake, since I'll be tapping out for that. I won't have my Icy Manipulator mana up. Three cards in hand from our opponent now, and they have Memorial to Genius to draw 2 more cards. That is where those comes into play tapped kind of spell lands come in quite handy. There's an Academy Drake of their own. Now we have the mana to start kicking these Baloth Gorgers, but if I do that, I don't have Icy Manipulator mana up. So Corrosive Ooze just holds off their ground creature really well. I guess since Forebear's Blade doesn't give them any extra toughness, if they don't have Saproling tokens or anything, that's not that scary. So I think I'm fine to actually just kick Baloth Gorger. Because Baloth Gorger is big enough to just block the thing on the ground, and then Academy Drake can trade with their Academy Drake. I will take a couple damage off the Blade, but it's not like they're going to win at combat or anything thanks to the Blade. It's not giving them any extra toughness or first strike or anything like that. 4 mana, here's a Time of Ice. That's very bad. They're going to tap one of my creatures, and then they're going to tap the next one, and then they're going to bounce them all to my hand. So I'll have to recast them and re-kick them. So that slows me down a lot, and they could actually get pretty aggressive off this. If they tap down Academy Drake and then throw the equipment onto the Academy Drake of their own, giving it Vigilance. They must... Maybe they have a pump spell in hand or something? Okay. Without a pump spell in hand, I don't understand that tap decision at all. Because they're at 20 life, they have more than enough life to spare to take a hit from the Baloth Gorger. I feel like you would rather just tap Academy Drake and try to send in that way. I guess I do have Icy Manipulator to tap down their attackers in the future, so they don't really need to get aggressive there. Just get defensive. I'm going to play Skittering Surveyor. If I kick another Baloth Gorger, they're just going to tap that. So we'll have them just tap one of my weak creatures here. And I'll save the mana for the Icy Manipulator. Attack them for 3. Doubt they make the trade. But Icy Manipulator is going to tap down the Crozen Druid either way once they go to their combat step, so I don't need to save Academy Journey Mage as a blocker. And Corrosive Ooze is really nice. If Corrosive Ooze ever blocks something that has that equipment on it, it will destroy it. They're going to tap it down with Time of Ice, but I've got Icy Manipulator, so it doesn't really matter. It's not going to be blocking regardless, plus that one only costs 2 mana to recast. But that was definitely the best target for them to tap this turn. That's a massive problem. See, that turns Forebear's Blade into a really threatening card, because now they can throw that onto Saproling tokens and turn a 1-1 into a 3-1, which is a much bigger buff than turning like a 2-3 into a 5-3, because those we're fine to trade with all day, but if we have to start trading with 1-1s, we're not going to have a good time. I guess it actually turns them into a 4-1, because it's +3, +0. Okay, so I have 9 mana now. I can play Baloth Gorger and save up Ice Manipulator mana, so I will do that. Ice Manipulator is going to tap down whatever creature has the blade on it. Maybe I should have attacked with Skittering Surveyor there. Probably not. It would just trade for their 4-1 Saproling. Okay, Academy Journey Mage to bounce my Gorger again. It's definitely pretty annoying, but I don't feel like I'm under too much pressure thanks to their Icy Manipulator. Their Icy Manipulator is incredibly helpful here. And I will trade there. Fine with that. Now there's an Aether Glider. 2-1 flyer, so I'll have to make a flyer of my own to stop that. I do have an opt here. I can opt and deep freeze the Aether Glider, but I don't super want to do that, because if I get an Academy Drake, I can just do that. That would let me Corrosive Ooze and opt instead of just Baloth Gorger and Ice Manipulator is the only thing I could afford otherwise. I've got this Memorial to Genius ready for later. Yeah, I'm just going to opt. Let's see what we can get. Techyova, okay. So I can Techyova and Corrosive Ooze and hold up Icy Manipulator mana. I feel like that definitely worked out better than just a Baloth Gorger, because this is 2 blockers. I need a number of blockers rather than just one big blocker. So I prefer having a 3-3 and 2-2 blocker than 1 7-7. For now, Techyova will also be gaining me life in addition to drawing a card whenever I play a land, so that should slow down the Aether Glider damage. So I doubt they throw the blade on it, because if they throw the blade on it, I easily just Ice Manipulator the flyer. I guess, you know, with Corrosive Ooze out, never mind, with Corrosive Ooze out, I think they do have to throw the blade on the glider. Because anything else I can just block with Corrosive Ooze and kill the blade. Alright, they're going to combat. I will tap down the flyer, actually, now that I see Corrosive Ooze's sick ability. They're going to send in with Academy Journey Mage. I think I chump block with the Skittering Surveyor, because any turn from now on, I'll just have a 7-7 out, so I can stop the damage that way. Maybe I should have just taken that. Probably should have just taken that. Saving that for a bigger chump block. There we go, there's a flyer. Super nice. Pass again. 19 cards in my deck, so I've got a ways to go before I have to worry about milling out. Jousting Lance is a really big problem. That gives first strike and +2 power. If they throw that on an Aether Glider, I can't block it with Academy Drake anymore. If they throw it on Juggernaut, that's pretty bad too. I guess I get to kill that equipment with Corrosive Ooze, and then I'm only worried about the blade. So Juggernaut has to attack here, so I guess I get to kill the first strike equipment, so I don't have to worry about that one in the future, but now the Forebear's Blade is around for the foreseeable future. Okay. So I have Deep Freeze, I can shut off their flyer. 9 mana. If I Deep Freeze... Okay, I'm going to Deep Freeze and shut off their flyer here, so that I can start attacking them. This is a little risky, because if they play a Muldrotha or something, it's now got free reign. There's just no way I'm gonna kill it or counter it in any way. At least until I draw another Deep Freeze. And they know that too, because both of my Baloth Gorges are revealed here. But I really want to try to start cracking in here. If I can hit them for 4 flying a turn, they're on a pretty quick clock now. They're down to 13. They'll be down to 9 next turn. They're going to combat now. Going to tap down the token that is equipped. We'll trade my Sap Herd for the Juggernaut. Or if they do that, I may just trade with Journey Mage and chump block Juggernaut. Yeah, I'll do that. That stops more damage, and Baloth Gorger can block and kill anything either way in the future. Just a land for our opponent. There's a land for us, but we've got Techiova out, so that's actually a good draw too. Drop a Baloth Gorger. Send in with the flyer, and they're down to 9 now. They're going to throw the blade onto the Juggernaut. Well, now I'm just going to tap the Juggernaut. They have 1/1s. Yep, these Baloth Gorges are really just going to come out and be able to block all their ground troops. So they're putting in a lot of work. Ancient Animus is a really good draw too. Drawing another card off of Techiova. Do I have enough mana? Wow, I have enough mana to Animus and Icy Manipulator. So now I feel very safe. Because I can fight at instant speed. Let's see, I have to pay 4 for that? Okay. Baloth Gorger gets countered, that's fine. Ancient Animus is really the more important card to me now. Because I can fight at instant speed with 7 power and toughness to fight with, so that makes me feel very safe. Now, even if they have Muldrotha or something, I once again have defense against that. And I forgot to Ice Manipulator this turn, so that was a big punt. So we can block there, block there. Wild Onslaught puts counters on all of their creatures. Okay, so the lack of Ice Manipulator this turn was a massive punt. So that puts 2 counters on all their creatures. I guess I can use that now, though, to make sure that I kill them. So I can fight their Juggernaut before it gets counters there. I'll take a lot of damage, but not lethal. So fight the Juggernaut to make sure Baloth Gorger survives. And then we're just going to tap down their blockers. So it looked like a punt, but it was my secret plan all along. That's not true at all, but I think that was just a good way to actually use the fact that I didn't use Ice Manipulator yet, because now I can just tap their whole field, and they're dead. Okay. Well, that was almost a really bad punt, but I think I was able to recalibrate very well there and make the most out of the way that I played to just get in for the immediate lethal that next turn. So that is 4 wins. That is good enough for me. I'm going to go ahead and resign the event. No. Let's see if we can get any more wins here. But 4 wins is what I love to hit. That gives me 1,400 gems and 3 more packs. That basically gives me all the value that I put into this. Put in 1,500 gems, get 1,400 to 3 packs out of it. Really nice. If you have the full collection of the set, every rare that you get is 20 gems, and you draft 3 packs, so that's on average going to be 60 gems there, and then getting 3 more packs, that'll be another 60 gems, that'd be 120 gems. So if you have the full set, you're on average going to get like 15, 20 gems out of it for the price of 1,500 gems. So that's how you just up your limited rank and go up in gems a tiny bit in value. So very nice. Happy to go 4 and 3 at least here. We'll try to get as many more wins as we can. And I think this is one of the best hands that I've had so far, because I do have my early plays. I've got a turn 2 Corrosive Ooze into turn 3 Sap Herds, and I have a Deep Freeze as a backup in case they play anything really scary. I have 2 Deep Freezes now. What are you going to do about that? I think I'll offer the trade here. They don't take it, so they must have a lot of historic there to trigger the unblockable ability of Relic Runner. 3 islands so far, so they're either stuck on blue or mono blue. Here comes a short sword. It is an equipment that gives +1/+1 for the cost of 1 mana. Turning Relic Runner into a 3-power unblockable creature. And they do send it in, so I will absolutely crack back at them. Just gonna get off running this game. Just to beat each other up with sapperlings, oozes, and whatever this is. A human rogue. What is that? What on earth is a human? Okay, so more funguses. Opponent is on 3 mana, all blue. Now they're on 4 mana, all of them are islands. They could be the mono blue special, which would be pretty cool. I think these sap herds can do a lot of work for me. They're down to 13 already. There's a Tolarian Scholar. Tolarian Scholar is actually really good at blocking my 2/2s, because they can block a 2/2 with a 2/3 and kill my 2/2 and survive. They do send in with the Relic Runner. I will trade with the Sap Herd. I could choose not to do that and just deep freeze the Tolarian Scholar, then they stop 2 damage and take 2, 4, 6. Go down to 7. That'd be pretty aggressive. I kind of like trading with the Relic Runner. I go down to 14 if I don't do that. You know what? Let's get aggro. Let's get real aggro. We've got all of our fun guys, our spores, all that good stuff. Now we have a Grow from the Ashes as well. I don't have enough mana to cast that and Deep Freeze this turn. Alright, well, let's do the thing. Deep Freeze that, hit him for 6. We're down to 7 now. Which means they're down to low enough that 1 attack from Thorn Elemental will kill them. Regardless of how they block, I can have Thorn Elemental assign its combat damage as though it was not blocked. There's a Sage of Latnam. They can tap and sacrifice that to... or tap and sacrifice an artifact to draw a card. So they're definitely an artifact-focused mono-blue deck, which I'm definitely a fan of. I did a stream where I did a blue-black artifact deck in this format, and that was very fun. Massive, massive fan of that. So I'm definitely kicking Grow from the Ashes here, because that sets me up for what will hopefully be a kill in 2 turns, because next turn I can Thorn Elemental, and then if that survives that turn, if it attacks, that'll defeat my opponent. They're very likely to have Deep Freezes, though, in mono blue. Gotta have some kind of removal, and Icy Manipulator will do it as well. Icy Manipulator, pretty bonkers. As we saw from last game, that card put in basically all the work that game. So the Thorn Elemental plan might not work out because our opponent can just Ice Manipulator it. We drop an Academy Drake first. If they have a Deep Freeze or something, Academy Drake would be less sad to get Deep Frozen. Tap down a Sap Herd. I could attack with everybody. I lose a 2/2 to do 2 damage to them, put them to 5. That's actually interesting. That might be worth it. Lose a 2/2 to put them to 5, because then they're 1 off from dead to Academy Drake. Which means I could just attack with everybody next turn if they didn't have Icy. I'm going to do that. So they have to block Sap Herd with the Sage. And then that there, they go to 5. I feel like that's the best value I'm going to get out of this 2/2 Sap Herd here, is to just sacrifice it right now to send in, because I'm not really going to need it to block. Like, if I have no blockers this turn, they're going to get in for 2 more damage. They're going to get in for 4 total instead of 2. Because I'm running on the assumption that they have enough historic spells that they can send in with Relic Runner unblockably. They're down to 5. Three cards in hand, 6 mana on board, all blue. Icy Manipulator on board, though. They're just going to pass and save the blockers now. So now I have a Juggernaut and another Deep Freeze. If I Deep Freeze Sage of Latnam, that turns it into a 1/5 blocker. If I Deep Freeze Relic Runner, they have one blocker that can kill things, so they kill my Corrosive Ooze, block, and take 1, go to 4. I think I just go to combat. They tap Academy Drake, I probably just drop Thorn Elemental. But in a future turn, I can drop Juggernaut and... I can drop Juggernaut and Deep Freeze. Okay, they do have the Wizard's Retort for the Thorn Elemental. So the big reason that I would have had for attempting to... for just sending in with these to get 1 more damage in would be... with Thorn Elemental and Academy Drake on board, either one of those would be lethal to them if I hit them for 1 more damage. So that's why I was really considering hitting them for 1 more. But the problem with that is if they have a single removal spell like a Deep Freeze or a counter spell like Wizard's Retort, then I have just lost my 2/2s and I'm stuck with 2 1/1s and a flyer. So there's a Cloud Reader Sphinx. So that's pretty scary. That could try to kill me. Ancient Animus is a nice draw, though. Now I can fight that and not have to worry about it. Drop a Juggernaut. So if they ever leave only the Tolarian Scholar to block, Juggernaut can't be blocked by that. So Juggernaut could try to crack in. Just unblockability. With unblockability. Also, because I have the second Deep Freeze, I could surprise turn another creature into a wall, and then the wall would not be able to block it. So they're tapped out now, so I think I should Ancient Animus right now. I don't have any legendary creatures to put a counter on, which is kind of sad, but I do want to definitely get rid of Cloud Reader Sphinx while they're tapped out. So Juggernaut is going to be a very nice attacker. With their current board, the only way to kill it would be to... Oh, oh no. Well, now we'll just trade Coldwater Snapper for Juggernaut, most likely. Because otherwise I would trade with the Sage of Latnam and the Relic Runner. Ooh, Techova is a really good draw. Got 7 mana here. No extra land, so I can't play both of these. If I send him with Juggernaut, I'm trading with Coldwater Snapper or Sage of Latnam and Relic Runner. I think either of those is fine. Because if I trade with 2 of their creatures, then I can start trying to crack through with a bunch of Saprolings again. And if I trade with the Hexproofer, good. I got the Hexproofer out. That would be my only way to kill that, because Hexproof means I can't target it with anything like my Deep Freeze. So we'll see what they choose to do here. I would expect Juggernaut's going to die here either way. Trade with the Snapper or Sage and Runner. I would be surprised by a chump block, and I'd be very threatened by that, because that might mean that they have an Arcane Flight for Coldwater Snapper or something like that. Give it flying, and then there's nothing I can do about that. Just some way that they'd be trying to crack back for lethal. So it looks like we are just going to trade Coldwater Snapper for Juggernaut. Fair enough. Now I'll drop Techova. Yeah, if anybody does not believe in the Ice Manipulator hype, just this one draft video, the amount of Ice Manipulators we've seen and the absolute power that they have held, This should make anyone a believer. Ice Manipulator is definitely pack one, pick one above almost everything else. The card is just very good. So unfortunately, Techiova's abilities are all shut off now, but did draw into a Skittering Surveyor, so that's kind of like drawing 2 cards in one turn. I drew a 1/2 and a land. Not the worst. And I don't have a second Techiova in my deck, so I will just play that land. No reason to really just hold it. We might be hitting the point where I want to just deep freeze the Relic Runner. Now that I have 5 attackers, if I deep freeze the Relic Runner and send in with everybody, I lose a 2/2, they block there and take 2, go to 3. Still doesn't seem that great, but it does push them down to 3, which is getting really low. Cold Water Snapper is going to shut that right off. We're definitely not deep freezing something like a Relic Runner now, because we're not attacking. Ooh, Academy Journey Mage. Do I have enough mana to... Oh, I have enough mana to Journey Mage and Deep Freeze? I can shut off 2 blockers right now? What do I... Journey Mage the Sage, Deep Freeze the Relic Runner, and then they only have 2 blockers, so they block there and there. They take 1, 2, 3, and they go to 2 life. They go to 2 life, and then I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers the next turn. I'll have 4 attackers. They'll have 1, 2, 3. They'll have 4 blockers, though, so I can put them to 2 life, and then, like, then what? Nothing much is the answer to that. I don't want to just drop this Academy Journey Mage without like something to bounce that's relevant. So maybe I just wait now. I think I do. This feels bad for sure. Tap Academy Drake and we pass. Again, if Academy Journey Mage could just return my own creature, that would be so good. Return my Techiova. Unfortunately, that is not how they design a lot of cards anymore. Most of them just only target your opponent's stuff. But I guess in the core set they did have a sub-theme around returning your own creatures to your hand with Baron the Tolarian Archmage, which was nice. What is this? Are they about to tap? Okay, I was going to say, if they want to send that in, they got to tap another creature, or else I'm absolutely going to trade a couple 2/2s for that. Ooh, equip it and make it a 5/6. Unfortunately, with that as a 5/6 now, I kind of have to just put more power on my board. I do really wish I could deep freeze that, but I'm going to have to just Journey Mage and get some more power on my board. Guess we'll bounce a Relic Runner. So now they only have 1 creature that would eat one of my creatures on an attack, so if I attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attackers into 3 blockers, means I do get in for that 3 damage, and I lose a 1/2/2 to do that. Or I get in for... well, I'd have to deep freeze the Sage if I want to only lose 1 creature. I don't want to do that. If I lose a 2/2 and a 1/1 to get in for 3 damage, how bad is that? I think I'm still just passing. Yeah, I attack with everybody here. I lose a Sapperling and a Sap Herd. I deal 1, 2. I deal 2. They go to 3 life. I'm then 2 creatures down. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers. They have 4 blockers. Deep freeze one of them. It just still does not work out. It's like always so close though to being time to attack. These are some long games. Actually, I was expecting to be done with the draft by now, so... Actually, I have work in about an hour. I've got to get ready for that pretty soon, so... It's going to be a little awkward if this goes on too much longer. And I'm still only one loss in, I think. So if I lose this one, it's going to be a while, but I'm going to stick it out. I'll do it. We're going to finish this event either way. Just may have to speed shower. So Relic Runner's back, and that's probably all that's happening here. Okay. I was going to say it might be worth attacking with Cold Water Snapper for them just to kill a bunch of my creatures, so they know that I can't really go wide in the future. But the problem with that is what happens if I don't block and then try to maybe bounce another creature with a Journey Mage. You know, you never really know. It could be very close to me just cracking back for lethal if they did that. Honestly, if they attack with Cold Water Snapper, I'm probably just going to chump block with Tachyiova first, because I do have Mending of Dominaria in this deck, which does return creatures from my graveyard to my hand. I'm going to have to deep freeze that Academy Drake to not die to flying, which will give them a 2/6 blocker, which is not great, but it's the best I got here. Just gotta chill until I draw something nice like that Mending of Dominaria. That actually would be beautiful. That's an incredibly powerful draw right now. I do still have... What else do I have in here that would be good? I have Zahid, Djinn of the Lamp. That would give me a second flyer. In Bolas's Clutches would be incredible. I take the Ice Manipulator and then I just run away with this game. So let's see. I got to draw into Zahid, in Bolas's Clutches, the Mending of Dominaria, Cloud Reader Sphinx. Those are all my great draws. Actually, Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive would kill them basically immediately as well, because then I get to attack in with my Saprolings and my Skittering Surveyor. I hit him for almost lethal immediately. Academy Drake would be another fantastic draw. I've got a lot of really good draws left in my deck, but I also still have 6 lands in there. So we'll have to see what we hit. Blood Tallow Candle is really nice for our opponent. They get to just kill our flyer now, and they get to start tapping something else with Manipulator. Or just saving it for my next threat. Wouldn't be surprised if they go ahead and send in with Relic Runner this turn, because now I definitely don't have enough to crack back. I mean, they have 4 blockers, a lot of which are really big. I have 4, 5, 6 attackers, so I get in for like 2 damage. There's Tetsuka Umezawa. What are you going to Icy Manipulate now? Are you going to Icy Manipulate or a Saproling? Whew. That is one of the incredibly powerful draws I could have gotten right now. Skittering Surveyor and both of my Saprolings are now unblockable, so I hit them for 2 damage no matter what this turn, and then 4 damage no matter what next turn. So they have to kill me or Tetsuko Umezawa immediately. Because now they're down to 3. With 4 1-power unblockable creatures on my board. This is the most work I think Tetsuko Umezawa is going to do in this draft. It's actually beautiful right now. Looks like just a land for our opponent. They do have 1 card in hand, though. If they deep freeze Umezawa, that's going to be it. But if not, that's going to be it in my favor. Definitely going to chump block the Cold Water Snapper with Tachyiova, as I said before, so I can return it with Mending of Dominaria if I draw into that. So we block there. Alright, Zahid, Djinn of the Lamp, another one of my incredible draws. We'll see if we just get there, though, because they tap one of these and I send in for 3. Exact lethal. Sentinel of the Pearl Trident. That will bounce the Ice Manipulator, put it back on the field, and tap another creature. They're only going to 1 life here. They're not going to 0. Oh wait, no, that doesn't return it until the end step. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, Sentinel of the Pearl Trident exiles a permanent and then brings it back, but it doesn't bring it back until the end step. So I think both my opponent and myself did not realize that one. Or they realized it and it was just a last-ditch effort anyway. Maybe it'll bounce it back faster. Well, that was a long game, but we got there in the end. Tetsuko Umezawa putting in tons of work, so still 0 losses, 5 wins, no losses. Everything from now on is absolute gravy. Now we're getting 1,600 gems and 4 packs. That's 100 gems bonus and 4 free packs. Because I've spent 1,500 into this, and now we're getting profit for sure. So this has been a fantastic draft run. And I'm going to keep this hand. I have both my colors and 3 mana, as well as some powerful plays coming up. Juggernaut into Zahid with a Deep Freeze that could shut off their only blocker, depending on how they draw here. Davenant Trapper is going to start things off for our opponent. Definitely going to cast Skittering Surveyor. That was a fantastic draw. That allows me to cast Zahid next turn. Absolutely beautiful. Really phenomenal draw. Because now I cast Skittering Surveyor right now, I have a decent little trump blocker, and I get to cast Zahid next turn. My opponent is seemingly one of these mono-white hyper-aggressive decks, though, so gotta watch out for that. That could be very scary. They're very likely to just play some kind of equipment this turn that'll tap down my Zahid. Or Quende as well, that's historic as well. Taps down Zahid. I have no blockers here. I take 8, I'm down to 9. This could be a really fast loss. We'll have to see. They definitely have to play defensively now. I'm probably going to Deep Freeze the Davenant Trapper so they can't tap down my things. That, or I could just attack with Zahid and play a Baloth Gorger and hope they don't tap anything down. They're down to 3 cards in hand. They do have a 2/2 Double Striker, but a 2/2 Double Striker can be blocked by Zahid. A 5/3 can be blocked by Zahid. I'm going to Deep Freeze and hope for the best here. Pretty worrying position that I'm in, though. These mono-white decks can be very fast. They are just sending in, which makes it very likely they have a pump of some sort. If they have a pump on Quende... See, if they have a pump, it would be Adamant Will. That'd be +2/+2 and Indestructible. So wherever I block with +2/+2 Indestructible, I'd lose Zahid, so let's just get rid of the scarier creature. I don't even know which one is scarier. They're both scary. Probably the Double Striker. Just do that. No pump yet. There's a Pegasus Courser. Okay, so just no pump there. Pegasus Courser does give flying, but Zahid does have flying. I think we're going to drop Tachiova, play a land, we gain a life and draw a card here. Maybe should have played Academy Drake. That would be a little more defensive against Pegasus Courser giving things flying. They do have to send in with the Juggernaut. I will block with Zahid. I was going to say trade. Hopefully not trade. Alright, we may have just shut off our opponent's early game, which is all we really need to do here. Because if we shut that off and then we just take control with our really big cards, like, what can they really do? Because now every card we play is almost guaranteed to just be bigger than anything they have. Likely just a bunch of early creatures and stuff. The kicker cards will give them a little bit of reach, but ideally it's just not going to be enough. And Grow from the Ash is a fantastic draw here. We're really stabilizing and just drawing tons of cards now. And there's the concession. Kick to Grow from the Ashes with Tachiova on the board is just too much value for our opponent to deal with, especially drawing, I believe, 8 lands on the very aggressive mono-white deck. That's not what you want to see either. So wow, 6 wins and 1 loss here. 1,800 gems and 5 packs of prize support. Whew. Could be running away with this. Could get our first 7-win Dominaria draft. That would be very beautiful. I'm gonna keep this one. for sure. All of our best keepable hands have been like 1 island, 2 forests. That's the important part right there. We do have Juggernaut into Zahid to play Zahid a turn early if I want. Pretty likely with a Juggernaut out that we're just going to be wanting to attack with that though, but maybe we'll opt into a Skittering Surveyor. That could be very nice, and Tachiova is a beautiful draw as well. Fantastic card. Let's see, just an island? I do want an island. I want to hit 6 mana with this hand. So we'll just draw that. And we just naturally draw into the Skittering Surveyor. Let's go! Skittering Surveyor into Zahid. That's the play. Opponent starts off with a Divination on turn 3, so definitely not a super quick start from our opponent, which hopefully means that we will, again, be able to outvalue them with some big, slow cards, like Zahid and the Mending of Dominaria, Tachiova as well. Let's see. Opponent did Divination here, but they haven't played a 4th land yet. So maybe they were trying to hit a land with that and got stuck, I'm not sure. They're thinking quite a bit. That is the only thing that makes me think that might be the case. They could also just be doing something else in another tab. Alright, there's the land, and just a pass turn. So they're probably saving up a counterspell or something? I mean, if they thought that long... I think that's fine, though. If Zahid gets countered, we still just get to drop Tachiova next turn, and they don't have anything on board right now. Not the worst in the world. We also have Cloud Reader, Sphinx later. Yeah, it's really not that bad if Zahid gets countered, and if Zahid doesn't get countered, it's wonderful. Zahid doesn't get countered, so this might be an instant speed. Okay, I was going to say it might be an instant speed removal spell, but it is just Wrath Capation, Sky's Mage, 3/3 Flash Flyer. That is not removal for Zahid, so he's just chilling so far. He's just having a mighty fine time. Let's just attack into that. Don't really need to play Tachiova right now. We don't have a land to play next turn, so I might play Cloud Reader Sphinx first instead, because our opponent does seem to have tons of flyers. So I would certainly like to be able to compete in the air. So let's Cloud Reader Sphinx here first. Hit another Academy Drake and a land. I like both these cards. Let's draw the land first. I do already have an Academy Drake to play. Tetsuko Umezawa, Fugitive, at instant speed. It does make all of their 1 power or toughness creatures unblockable, so they have 3 unblockable creatures now. It's pretty scary. Blink of an Eye to bounce the Cloud Reader Sphinx. Okay. So, I guess, yeah, Cloud Reader Sphinx was my only untapped flyer, so they're going to try to just out-tempo me and race me here. And with all that with unblockable, the only thing I could block would be Wrath. And to block Wrath, I would need just to play Cloud Reader Sphinx again. Kind of want to play Tachiova to gain some life, draw some cards, but if we're racing, I kind of just need to play Cloud Reader Sphinx. But, like, they've just bounced the Cloud Reader Sphinx, so they're, like, ready for that as a play. For sure. I don't know. I'm going to drop Tachiova here. Try to draw into Deep Freeze for Tetsuka Umezawa in the future, hopefully. Hit for 6, they're down to 9. They hit for 7, I'm down to 7. I only need to gain 1 life to survive next turn. So there's my 1 life to survive this turn. Yavimaya Sapherd doesn't help block anything. If I attack with Zahid, I put them to 4 life. But then I die to a removal spell. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I probably just drop 2 Academy Drakes, and then I don't die to a removal spell. Let's do that. Attack was a heed. If they don't block, they go to 4. If they block, they lose an Academy Drake. Now I just cast multiple Academy Drakes so that I don't die to a removal spell. No matter what, I get to block one of them. So here's a Skittering Surveyor from our opponent. Casting it in the upkeep to search for a land before they draw. And scry before they draw. So they're less likely to just draw land this turn. Okay, if they don't have a pump spell, I should definitely be able to survive this attack. They're going to save back an Artificer's Assistant as a flying blocker, so I really need a Deep Freeze now, because then I could just crack back for lethal. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage here. I do definitely have to block. I can block that, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I feel like no matter what, I'm going to die on their next attack. Like, if I block both of these flyers, I take 1, 2, 3, 4. I go to 4 life, but then they have the 4 damage again, unblockable. So I want to just save as many flyers as I can to break through for as much damage as possible on my next attack. So just chump block the most damage, I think. I could double block Raft to shut off any Historic's instant speed shenanigans, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm just dead next turn, so I'll just chump block one creature there. We'll try to break through here. Cloud Raider Sphinx is a massive issue. Really hoping for no more blockers there. Well, I gain a life and draw a card for sure. This just is not going to do it. If I had blocked both of the flyers, then I would actually be at 5 life now, since I drew into a land to gain a life. But then even with 5 life, they have 5 unblockable power because of the Skittering Surveyor, so I'd still just be dead. Is there any possible way? I don't think there's any possible way that I win here. Maybe I should have Cloud Raider Sphinxed before I played that land, in case I hit an Ancient Animus on the top. I could have drawn into that. That would have been my only hope. I guess I'll Cloud Raider Sphinx now and see if there was an Ancient Animus. Alright, there was an Ancient Animus, but I wouldn't have hit it unless I scried both Journey Mage and something else to the bottom. Would Ancient Animus even kill them here? It would kill one blocker. They'd have 2 blockers. They go block there. Block there. They'd take 1, 2, 3. Ancient Animus wouldn't even kill them. Anyway. But that would have been as close as I could have gotten. Well, we did see the Ancient Animus, but would not have got there. We are just dead to the unblockable 1/1s now. So yeah, if I had Ancient Animus, I could have put a counter on Tachiova and killed their Cloud Raider Sphinx flying blocker. Then they would just block Zahid with the other flyer, block Tachiova with that, and take 1, 2, 3, go to 1 life. Either way, they had me there. Super close game all around. Just needed a Deep Freeze or an Ancient Animus much sooner than I got one. Deep Freeze could have shut off Tetsuko Umezawa's ability. I guess, actually, Ancient Animus, I could have just killed Tetsuko instead, and then I could survive, but I couldn't kill them there. So yeah, no, Ancient Animus would have saved me. If I had Cloud Raider Sphinx before I played the land, I could have survived and tried to stabilize. So that was a punt there. I was totally just thinking of Ancient Animus as a way to attempt to kill them before I died to a lethal crackback, but if I just killed Tetsuko Umezawa, I could have enough flying blockers to survive that turn regardless. So Ancient Animus was the out, and I failed to play to that out. So yeah, if I had thought about that more beforehand and realized that if there was just an Ancient Animus in the top 3 cards in my library I could survive there, then I could have... Okay, then I need to Cloud Reader Sphinx, see if it's in the top 2. If it's not, scry to the bottom and try to hit it off the 3rd draw. If I had done that, I would have hit it off the 3rd draw. Alright, this hand seems like a really nice start though, so I'm very happy with how this game looks to be starting. Skittering Surveyor, grab a forest here. I have an in Bolas's clutches for whatever scary thing they're going to try to grow from the ashes into. Hopefully it's like a Dairy Gaz. The bigger, the scarier the card, the better. I want to steal something really spooky. So 4 mana now. I can Yavimaya Sapherd or grow from the ashes to make sure that I have Bolas's clutches mana next turn. I think I'll Yavimaya Sapherd. I can just save grow from the ashes for next turn to get more lands off of it. Save Bolas's clutches for as late as possible. Probably just chump block the Mammoth Spider with a 1/1 if it comes in this turn. Opponent does have 6 mana and 4 cards in hand. Cabal Paladin coming out. Anytime they cast a historic spell, I lose 2 life. But it is just a 4/2, so I've got plenty of blockers that can trade with that easily. So I can grow from the ashes here, or I can Journey Mage. I will have enough mana for Bolas's Clutches next turn either way, so let's just slow them down now. Journey Mage the Mammoth Spider, make him recast it this turn. Now I get to attack with the Yavimaya Sapherd, and it either trades with Cabal Paladin or gets in for 2. If they attack with Cabal Paladin, I'm fine to trade that for my 1/2 and my 1/1, or my 3/2, either one. Mammoth Spider's back. Think we'll just bounce it again. Now I can actually bounce it for only 4 mana, but I don't have any 2 mana cards anyway. Yeah, let's just bounce it again. Send in with the 2 and 3 power creatures. Still no trades, so they're down to 13. Getting lots of damage in here. And with a kicked Grow from the Ashes, I will definitely have enough mana to kick everything else like Academy Drake or any Baloth Gorgers that I draw in the future. Or I could just draw the land to kick it right now, and I don't even need to cast this Grow from the Ashes. Academy Drake is not large enough to crack through the Mammoth Spider defense, though. Only 4 power and 4 toughness. It would need 5 power to kill the Mammoth Spider. So they have 6 cards in hand and 6 mana, and I've just been slowing them down with the Journey Mages. So I can, in Bolas's Clutches, their Urgoros, but then I need to do something about the Mammoth Spider to even get through with that in the first place. But that would stop them from attacking me with that, which would be nice. I suppose I can trade it with my Academy Drake, but they are black and red, which means they're very likely to have removal. If I Bolas's Clutches that, they only have 2 blockers. They block there, and then they block like there. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, you know what? That's a big game. We're just going in. We're going ham. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh yeah, that puts them down to 6. That's actually, yeah, that's definitely the play. Just put the pressure on here. The green-red black deck running Mammoth Spider and Urgoros means they're very likely to be like a slower kind of ramp deck where their best response here is to just play like one big 6-drop, and if they play one big 6-drop, they block there, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they have to have 2 in any combination of creatures and removal spells to survive my next attack now. They do have a removal spell, but they also need a creature to survive this turn, otherwise they are taking 6. They do have 2 mana up, so maybe another removal spell we'll certainly see, because I am absolutely sending in this attack with no other instance That will be lethal. They block the Journey Mage, so they must have another removal spell to throw on the Academy Drake here. Take 4 and go to 2 life. Yavimaya Sapherd will be really nice. Oh, okay. Really nice. Vicious Offering. Good play from our opponent, but they are down to 2 now. We will drop a Yavimaya Sapherd out as well. The only Wrath effect in green, black, and red would do 1 damage to each creature. That would be the Fiery Eruption. That would not be enough to lower my field. And the black Wrath effect is a Saga that does not Wrath the board until the second part of it, so we don't have to play around a Wrath. We'd rather just spread out our threats there. It looks like it was the right play because the opponent conceded the second they drew their card. Saw that it was definitely not going to be an out. So wow, that'll be my first 7-win run of the return to Dominaria. Feels great. We get 2,200 gems and 6 packs out of that. Plus, you know, it's a sponsored draft by Wizards of the Coast. Much thanks to them for the 10,000 gems and 30 packs of every standard set. Just want to mention that again at the end here. So, fantastic draft. Absolutely fantastic. Let's see what we get in our 6 prize packs here. And then I will be signing off for the day. So let's see what we got here. Naban, Dean of Iteration, really interesting, fun card for those Wizard draft decks. There's Deep Freeze would be nice to pick and draft. We definitely did a lot of work with Deep Freezes there. Now we've got Primeval's Glorious Rebirth, the precursor to the Eerie Ultimatum that returns everything from your graveyard to the battlefield. This one was a legendary sorcery that would just return all your legendary cards. Very cool card as well for historic/friendly brawl. Halfway through these packs now. Another Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. Okay. I can tell I'm definitely just getting the cards that I don't have from the set yet. So maybe I'll get a lot of repeats of cards that I've just never needed to craft or anything like that. Fall of the Thran. Tachiova in this pack, though, and a common wild card. 2 packs to go. We've got an uncommon wild card. Great. And Blackblade Reforged. This card is sick in Brawl. Super, super powerful in any Brawl deck that actually attacks with its commander, because you can equip this for only 3 mana, get +1/+1 for each land you control. Really nice card. And the final pack is Arvad the Cursed and the rare Cabal Stronghold. Pretty great for mono-black decks. Could see that finding a home in some kind of mono-black historic control kind of deck that likes to ramp into a ton of mana. This was pretty fun in Standard back when it was still around. There was a mono-black deck that would use this and Chromatic Lantern so that you could actually run nothing but swamps and then use Cabal Stronghold to get a bunch of mana, but then use your Chromatic Lantern with your basics to get like a green and a blue, and then Mastermind's Acquisition cards of any color out of your sideboard, and you could play like really big X mana spells like Hydroid Krasis in your mono black deck. That was a really cool Standard deck at the time. But anyways, that is going to end today's video. It looks like I did get 1 pack of Core Set 2021 at some point just from leveling up, so we may as well open that as well. But that'll end today's video. If you want to see more pre-recorded videos, just stay around on the YouTube channel, like, comment, and subscribe, all of the goodness. If you want to see me play live, I'm live every Friday and Saturday at 5 p.m. Central Time, and especially this Friday, I'm officially sponsored by Wizards of the Coast as the sponsored Magic Arena content creator of the day. So that'll be the stream of the day on Friday. So very excited about that. Definitely, if you're gonna come by for any stream, come by for this Friday's 5 p.m. draft stream. It'll be more Dominaria drafts, and if you've watched all the way through this draft, I assume you're into that. And yeah, that's pretty much all of the social accounts you gotta follow. Just my Twitch and my YouTube. That's pretty much it. So once again, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. That was a pretty great draft. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed winning there. And I'll see you all again very soon for some more Magic Arena content. I need to go to work right now.